All right, hello everyone, and welcome back to the Penguin. We're reviewing episode 2 of this, dare I say it, bat crazy show. Um, we have Samuel Leggett, we have Busy Braun talking the continuation of this show. From the get go, y'all, I sensed that I'm like, this is what is happening, and within the first 10 minutes, stuff flips and you're like, okay, where is Oz going with his move and how close is he playing to his own chest? This chess game, that he's trying to outbeat anybody. I effing dug this episode. I that first episode was such a good starter, foundational wise, with mood, tone, and the length that they gave us with these characters. Like, okay, this is where we can make and go with this character to see how much for the next 7 weeks we're gonna do that. And again, 10 episodes in, they flipped everything. So how did y'all feel with that banger of an opening?
So Sophia Falcone, I think me and Busy have been saying it. The actress is killing it. Like it's weird because it's like this ping pong match between Sophia and Oswald, and it goes back and forth. But this was her magnum opus. This was her moment. You got to understand the different levels of her psychosis and also how unstable, unhinged, and how honestly much of a boss she really is. Down to that very last moment of this episode. I think the thing I loved about this more than anything, it was just so unpredictable. I had no idea where this was going to go. I had no real clear understanding of where things were going to go. But I think it's interesting because there's a parallel between Sophia and Oswald's mom that is even more interesting, which, yeah, this is a great episode.
Yeah. How about you, Busy?
I mean, I've been saying this to Sam. I mean, it's just anytime we get Sophia Falcone on screen, I'm just kind of like, I don't know. She steals the show. Like, she's literally the star. You know what I'm saying? And then when her and Oz are on the screen together, I just get so overwhelmed because they're both in their bag so heavily. It's absolutely ridiculous, and I'm constantly praising Colin Farrell, but it's like it's just unbelievable that that it's him under all of that. But I mean, there's plenty of moments throughout the episode that are just kind of like throwing me off, and I'm just like, I can't believe this is the route they're going because I didn't expect the show to kind of throw so many twists at me, but it's really just like confusing the hell out of me with all the crap they're doing. They're killing it, bro.
Yeah, to me, I think that was a great point that you brought up. That to me, with what Colin's doing with this character, is that like you shouldn't be following or caring for this character, especially in this environment, but yet you can't go away. You can't, and we'll hint at that in the later review, but you can't go away from this character and just watching what he's gonna do, what he's gonna say, what he's gonna think. And I think the vibe with Sophia is that she's what Colin was in the Batman movie. I think it's what Sophia is in this show, where you're like, okay, Penguin Oz is the lead, and we're watching him, and this is the name of his show. But what is that vibe? And I hope we don't steer off too far from her. And I want to see more of her as well. Um, seeing, I believe the actor's name is Theo Ross. I think he was in Sons of Anarchy, Luke Cage. I know him from, and so it was like cool to see that like he's a therapist or like a counselor for her since Arkham, and now in the post Arkham era for her, and how I can't even imagine what it's like being in an environment, a family environment like hers, and you're like, okay, what happens when they themselves sent you to an asylum, and what that does to you? And the flip side of that, like, okay, she's trying to just keep her mind in focus, even though they keep referring to her, she's the black sheep of the family, the hangman. Mm-hmm. All while Oz is trying to maneuver, okay, I want the Maroni to take the fall. It worked. He confronts him about it and leans into it. It's like, okay, so what do you want to do now? And I love the moment with Mrs. Maroni tells Mr. Clancy Brown, be like, he's a dog and dog have uses. Like, keep him. Let's see where this goes. Mm-hmm. And just like the shootouts in the truck and you know the joke about the driver, it's just madness, and it's like some people are gonna say right now, where's Batman? Where's right now? To be
Don't
quite
matter.
frank, I don't really need him. I'm not
And
missing him,
and
and it's oh
I feel like that's one thing I'm really, really liking because as much as I would love to see the Batman pop up, at the end of the day, for viewers that aren't familiar with this universe, viewers that are literally like, "Oh, there's a show called The Penguin on, let's check it out." They don't need to know what the hell like is going on. They don't need to be like, "Wait, this is Batman. Oh, I'm tuning out." You know what I'm saying? Like this is just heavily inspired by some other kind of gangster movies, whether it's like The Sopranos or The Godfather. There are so many different vibes going into this show where it's like you don't need to be a comic or a Batman fan to enjoy it. This is just a straight up like a killer of a TV show, man. And
Yeah.
I think that's one thing that I'm really enjoying about it because it's like I'm thinking like, who do I know that doesn't want to watch the Batman but could enjoy just a show that's just a bop? You know what I'm saying? And
Yeah.
this is one of those. And yeah, I really enjoy that.
what
Yeah. I
about you,
think
Sam?
that
What do you feel about that lack of in this universe, and yet how it's like it fits perfectly? It's just a crime drama that HBO would, I would imagine HBO would put something out like this.
I mean, I think the interesting thing is it's two different answers that I have. Um, I grew up in the era of Smallville, right? In Smallville, the biggest thing was a rule is no flights, no tights. That means you got no Superman, right? Don't start. Don't do that. That's not cool. But yet, there's a show that came out very much similar to that in Gotham. And everybody was kind of like, how are you going to have a show about everything surrounding Batman, but Batman is Bruce Wayne? How can you make a show off of that? But yet they made 6 whole seasons and I was thoroughly entertained. This is not that. This is a whole other freaking level. There's a moment in this episode where Sophia is talking to one of her childhood friends, I'm assuming, and they're just really conversing. Everybody else is scared of Sophia. Like, Hangman, stay away from her. And they're just kind of conversing, like, let's go and have a girls' trip and all this kind of stuff. All of a sudden, like, she's like, her daughter, the girl's daughter comes up. And then Sophia kind of listens, like, hey. And then she tightens up. Like, she tightens up and holds her daughter, like, no, stay away. And Sophia just bends down real close and just looks at her. And I was like, that was the moment I realized I don't know the levels of evil in this show.
Mhm.
Like, I don't know. They said that, you know, she's killed upwards of 7 people that we know of.
7 women,
But
yeah.
never in my mind would have conceived that. Was she killing little girls? Like, was she like, I really don't know the levels of how sick this person is. Even more than that, like in the very opening of this episode with, I don't know who the therapist is. If that was Hugo Strange, it would still be fine because at the end of the day, I don't know what's happening. And there's levels of evil and darkness that's in Gotham that you just see sprinkled out throughout this whole entire episode. Even in Oz's mom. Like it's different. It's built different, man. And I think this show, the second episode stapled that for me. Was that this is built different.
The dynamics between these two, I call them the two leads, Sophia and Oz, or Oz and Sophia, how they're responding to people in their inner circle, and how, yeah, you said it, that moment with the kid, like, was madness. And yeah, I'm really, really intrigued to see where more of that spreads, and how much more you sense their inner circles see them more. Um, Again, you see a moment where I don't know the character's name, but it's basically Asa's side boo, and her girls go into his apartment, and how she figures it out, like, you took Al out, and now you got to represent. It was not part of the deal, and he's just asking her, just trust me, and will he get her killed? Will he get all these people that are his tools and the foundations of his family that building up? Is he going to get them killed? And you see what Vic is just watching, and seeing Vic just experience this episode, and he fucks up in this episode, but yet is shown the repercussions of what happens if he f's up. Again, we see how instantly Oz's got to visit the mom, says you got to go to the funeral of the owl, and it's how that stuff is happening at the same time. And I feel, again, I can't stop watching the show, and I feel bad that Vic is going through this, because you're like, yo, dude, get out. But at the same time, you shouldn't have fucking gone busting his car and whatnot, and it's just madness. Do you guys have a favorite? Is there a character? I mean, Oz is the lead, but is there a character that you're just stuck in and you're like, where are they gonna go, and how much am I not able to predict where they're going?
No, like a favorite character, or just like a like.
It doesn't have to be a character, but just the only like.
So I'm
this
really
one
like
different.
I said this before, but I really am interested with Sophia Falcone, because I mean, I can see her being a big staple of this franchise as a whole. Like we got Sophia Falcone running, this end of Gotham, so we can't go down there. Like just Jim Gordon doing a subtle reference in the second Batman, or I don't know, just crazy crap like that. But she's just so unhinged. Like it could go either way. She can either become like a big boss, like this is the Penguin show, but we could get another boss making their way up, or it could be simply like. So it could be.
You tell him.
It could be he doesn't agree with my opinions, but whatever. It could simply be, her dying before the season ends. So I have a lot of different theories that could happen. It's killing me, but she's definitely a character that I'm the most interested to see. You know what I'm saying? I feel like it's gonna end with her dying, but I don't want that. She's like, she's been so cool, like so great.
Yeah,
it'd just be a waste, in my opinion.
Yeah, I think that to be different, I'm gonna say Victor. Sophia is my favorite character, absolutely. But the intriguing aspect of where the road leads for Victor, I think, is the most intriguing, because there's still a lot we don't know about Victor at this point. And the kid, like outside of the stutter, he seems like a good kid, and yet at the same time, like it only takes one bad day and it changes you. And that's unfortunately his situation. Like he's by pure chance been spared, and unfortunately put down a very dark path because of Oz, because their relationship is very intriguing. Like he is very codependent on Victor, but at the same time he's using Victor. Like he uses everybody, lies to everybody. But the interesting thing is that he trusted Victor enough to bring him to his mom, right? Like that's a huge thing. And you could say he used that as leverage, like, too much. If I need to, I can kill you. But I think he wanted him there. And even the mom, like, it was just very intriguing. But I think that Victor is a very interesting character. My theory with Sophia, though, by the end of this, if she doesn't become the boss, she's going to end up back in Arkham. They're not going to kill her. She's too crazy to be killed. She's way too crazy to be killed. She's going to end up back in Arkham. And I think that'll be the gateway to see all the rest of the crazy, so to speak. It's just too easy to kill her. She doesn't care. She doesn't give me that vibe of like caring about death for herself. She let everybody else burn before that happened.
And it's fascinating to see how much her uncle and the people in her family are treating her now. Like, I don't think, just coming out of Arkham, I don't think I would put her on the mantle of the boss of the family. I don't think I would do that. But I also know how her potential is. I wouldn't just go start shoving her to the side that quickly as well. It's fascinating how much her family's just like, no, we're going to handle it. Even the uncle being like, no, I'm going to handle what happened to your brother. That's on me. And her being like, no, that he was my brother. And Oz just tugging like it's like a circus. It's trying to toggle three balls without them falling down. And I love the hints we're getting of their past, their connections, and seeing how much they're trying to one up each other, and yet y'all don't realize how much you're all alike, and how much dangerous you could be if you work together, if you team up and whatnot. And it's that old tale of undermining the ones you think are weaker one, and when you realize that like, no, they're probably just as strong, if not stronger than you.
Yeah.
And the humility, not humiliation, but the humility they give Oz when he goes to the funeral and generally tells something Sophia about his family, about his mom and his brothers. I was just
Mhm.
like, what the hell, man? You're playing this close to the chest with your own personal life to tell her. And she's smoking and whatnot. They realize that someone in the shootout at the beginning of the episode is alive and can actually spill the beans on what Oz is doing with the Maronis. And you see how Oz is trying to do his best to put this blame on the head honchos of the Falcons, and is trying to get this guy that was part of the Maroney's crew alive back. And be like, you just gotta say this name and whatnot. And then what happens is that unfortunately Vig doesn't do part of his job. So what he has to do is to cut ties, and it's like you sense it. Oz is willing to kill people, but he was trying to gently get this guy out, I think, and put the blame and the fall on the Falcones, and how that leads to okay, they realize that someone killed the one guy that spilled the beans of what's happening. They close into place, and now Oz has to frame somebody else and throw the knife in another direction. And it was just like the fallout, the blowout, if you will, of each decision making. It's and how I love the moment where like Oz goes at Victor and be like, you have to think on the loose. Like you can't fuck up this easily. I'm not. You're gonna be on the ground like those guys. And again, framing the cinematography with this show. There's a moment that I needed to see it at least once, and it's when Vic is on the ground and Oz just puts a cigar, just lights it up, and then he just like looks at him, and then he decides to, all right, I'll pull you up. It's like that is the penguin. That cigar, that look is the penguin. But they're giving him such humanity in an effed up scenario with this show, and I'm just digging the hell out of this.
Yeah, even
Is there?
that opening of how this started was just filmed well, handled
Mhm.
well, because Oz was like, "Oh, I got a plan. Crap." we and it was like it felt like it was straight out of the movie, bro. Like the way I could imagine that was like, oh wow, this is a scene from Batman 2. Like it was just
Rick
done
Fraser, yeah.
that well. But yeah, no, I think the thing about this show ultimately for me is I can't get enough of it. Like I feel like every single small little thread of doubt that I have is just met with more intrigue to see where these characters are going to go, like how high and how far that they're going to descend into madness, so to speak, because we really haven't seen Oswald lose it. We've seen who his mother is, and we've seen how much she pushes him, what she thinks that he should do, how he should handle things, but we haven't seen him lose composure just yet. We've seen moments and glimmers, and I think that this episode just kind of showed the other side of that thread of if somebody's already kind of lost it and has nothing to lose and no one having them back. Because that's what Sophia is at this point. Like she made a plan. If they would have just stuck to it, she would have got the answers they needed. Man, Oz had to think on his feet so quick. Like if he hadn't planted that knife, and he planted it so well because he planted it on the person that she trusted most, so that then she had to trust somebody else. And
Blindside, yeah.
it was genius. But yeah, now this is another banger episode for me. I really enjoyed this episode.
Yeah, something again, just a little thing that like got me giddy. What was hearing, Oswald Cobblepot, Colin Farrell speaking a little Spanish with the landlord, and like how tragically that's real. Just like some folks, family members, they just go off and they have the dementia. And they don't know where they are, what they're wearing, and it's cold. And it's a sweet moment where the landlord's like, "Listen, I'm just a landlord. Like, I think it's time you have to get her personal care." And he's like, "What? You're a therapist? You're a doctor now?" And gives him like a couple bucks and just keep an eye on her, please. And says, bless you, Mrs. Mrs. Colopot, and says to Vic, be careful. He's like, I can't do nothing for you, but I'm just telling you, just be careful because he knows the vibe that comes with the Cobblepots. And I just love that the pacing. When we need to go see Mrs. Cobblepot, we go, and then we're back into the side of Gotham. Um, the the drives between Vic and Oswald, you're just wondering what lesson he's going to teach him now. He's going to sing his praise. He's going to ask him about their personal lives and how much their connection is deepening, and yet they're both going straight down to hell with the shit they're doing.
Yep.
And in a day and age, folks, this doesn't sound so like I'm gonna sound like an old person, but like I am so glad that HBO is planning to release this weekly. Like the fact that it's being released weekly is going to keep the water cooler vibes going. Talking about whose side are we on? Which do we have faith that they're going to make it out or they're not going to make it out? And I think it'd be a whole completely vibe if this show dropped all at once. And the fact that it's an hour-long episode, I'm like, thank God that I never felt bored. I never felt we were dragging too much. I never felt we were in a wrong scenario or spending too much time in the scenario or too less. It was just the timing was right. Are you guys finding it that's just it comes with the vibe of HBO? That like they're not afraid to take their time with small moments or big moments?
I think that's Amazon and HBO and the climate right now. I think that ever since episode 1 of season 7 of The Walking Dead, they realized that they don't have to be any kind of limitations on what can give like an emotional reaction to people. I think that they can tell these stories in a way narratively that people will understand, but it's not going to be too overjarring if it's executed well. I think that's just the climate that we're in. HBO and Amazon are just one of those ones that are willing to take that risk and show us what those things are going to be. Because again, I mean, me and Busy were talking about just like Mrs. Cobblepot dealing with dementia, but at the same time being a whole gangster and getting up in her son's face, right? And egging him on. Like, this man doesn't take anything from anybody, but he heard every word that she said and he abided by it, right? But that's a real moment. Though that's something that regardless of who you are, that's universal. And the people that help mold us, that's what we've kind of become in certain aspects. And it's just, that was one of those moments that, I don't know. It's a testament to the fact that they have enough trust with Matt Reeves and this legacy of this character to kind of go this route. But no, I don't have much else. Busy, closing thoughts?
No, I just think that, there was points where I was like a little confused. I thought the show was going to have somewhat interesting pacing, but everything that they've done so far, I mean, again, for a dialogue heavy show, they are absolutely killing it. And I know people are going to go into this, just because it's, tagged or people know it's in the same universe as the Batman. I'm just hoping they don't go into this expecting to just see action on top of action on top of action, because the dialogue is just as good. Like, they are just certain sequences between certain characters have just gotten my attention more than any other show that I've watched this year, and the only other show that really comes close with dialogue that really had my attention this year is Shogun.
Okay.
So it's just like the fact that it's kind of on par dialogue wise, in my opinion. It makes me want to watch more, and we still have a bunch of episodes left. So I know, like, I want it to go only up from here, and if they manage to do that, then that's going to be friggin' incredible.
Yeah.
Yeah.
My closing thoughts is that to me, there was a line of dialogue very early on that was like, oh, that's sticking to me, is when Theo Ross calms Sophia down. She's like, you're safe, you're safe, you're safe, you're free. You don't worry, you're not an Arkham anymore. I think, if I'm not mistaken, she says, I'm not free, I'm home. And it cuts to the Penguin, and I was just like, that says a lot of how she felt growing up, of how she felt the minute she got to Arkham, and probably the minute she got out of Arkham. And it's just like, let's see that. I want to see where that line goes in the next coming weeks. But yeah, I dug this episode. Ratings, fellas, where are we at with this episode?
This is an A plus. I'm still there.
Yeah.
I'm still
A minus,
there.
yeah.
I'm still there.
Yeah, I think A as well. I don't know if it's plus or minus. I think it's a strong continuation with episode 1. and God help these characters because I don't know. I really don't know where else this is gonna go and what they have cooked up in the next few weeks. But thanks, fellas, for talking Penguin more with me. Busy, where can people find you?
I'm Busy Braun everywhere. Busy Reactions on Instagram, and then over on TeamJVS dropping reviews.
Nice.
No, where can everybody find you?
You best believe I'll be covering this show at Ronan Unchained on YouTube, on the socials, the Twitter, Threads, TikTok, and yeah, this is special, and I can't wait for the weekly water cooler talk.
Yep. And you guys, if you guys are still watching, I have a small little surprise for you guys. Normally we don't do this. I didn't even let you guys know ahead of time, but I am going to be giving away a code for the Batman right now. So all you got to do is be the first one to get it. So in about 3 seconds, I'm going to put it up here. You guys will be able to see it for about a few seconds. Neither one of these gentlemen here are able to get it either. So it's going to be just you guys. So Busy, Ronan, do not think about it. 3, 2, 1. This code is for you guys. Enjoy your copy of the Batman. Go and check it out. Let me...
Got it.
Whoever gets it first has got the gold. Thank you guys so much for joining our reviews and our discussions. If you can, please go and check out these guys' amazing channels, respectively on TikTok and on YouTube. Our reactions are all over the place, but right here, you're going to be able to get our exclusive discussion and reviews in a spoiler format. So we're going to go, guys. Thank you guys so much for watching. Amazing job, Ronan. Amazing job, Busy. Thank you guys. Appreciate you guys both. Peace, people.
Filing out the top of
I can see the skyline, 50 mile radius on my timeline. Ain't nothing on my mind.